always early for these, so I figure maybe in the future I just won't give a time because I never really honor the time. Anyway, welcome to another DragonLance Saga readings episode. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to give you the third. That's 1, 2, 3. I did it right this time. The third preview for Dragons of Deceit by Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman. This novel is coming out next week, people. Next week. How exciting is that? And if you're at Gen Con, you're probably going to be able to pick up a copy this weekend. So you're going to get it before everyone else, which only makes me moderately angry and frustrated. I've never actually been to Gen Con. I'm not sure I would like it. Lots of mouth breathing. Know what I mean? So I'm told. I don't know for sure. Anyway, I would like to take a moment and thank the members of this channel and invite you to consider becoming a member by visiting the link in the description below. Chris, it's always great to see you. Anyone else who's joining live, if you subscribe, put in the chat, the live chat, what you think about Dragons of Deceit thus far, the plot points, the plot devices, the MacGuffins, all of it. Let me know what you think. All right. So this is actually from Gizmodo.com, which I don't even know what that is, if I'm being 100% honest. I guess it's just, I don't know, a tech website? I have no idea. Anyway, each time we get one of these little previews, my immediate reaction is, oh, well, they want to tease us about the book. And then the second preview came, and I was like, oh, well, they saw the lukewarm reception to the first preview, so they're releasing a second preview on a different outlet. So clearly they're trying to make up for the last one. And this one, I'm like, oh, well, they're clearly making up for the last two by bringing in the heavy hitter, which is what this entire novel and arguably probably the entire trilogy centers around. Not Destina, but Tasselhoff Burfoot, because we never got enough of him. Right? It's Tasselhoff, it's the device of time journeying, and it's the Grey Gem. And it's all wrapped up into one story that is going to potentially reset all of Dragonlance. But if they did that, then, you know, there'd be all sorts of consequences. So it'll probably be all fixed in the end. But they do want to prep you for it, right? Jason, thanks for joining live. Good to see you. Hey, Goldman, how are you? Yeah, it is exciting. This is going to be a good one. Okay, so there's two main characters in this story. It's going to be Tasselhoff Burfoot and Mari Merriweather. Mary Merriweather or Mari Merriweather? I'm going with Mari. And really, it's just them meeting. What this does, however, is sort of whet the appetite. Because if you'll remember in my Margaret Weis interview, she said the working title for this was Tasselhoff's Wife. So, is that Mari? Is that Mari Merriweather? His wife, his future wife? He's meeting her for the first time here. But could it be? Who knows? We're going to get into it. It's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. And then on the back end of this, we'll just sort of riff about it for a little bit, talk for a little bit. I got some other stuff to do tonight, so I won't be spending too much time here with you, but just enough to perform the reading and riff. So let's riff. Here we go. Tasselhoff Burfoot was bored. If the residents of Solace had known a bored Kender was among them, they would have fled for the hills. As it was, the residents had a more important and joyful things to think about. Yesterday morning, Tika Majir had given birth to her second child, another baby boy. Karaman had closed the inn so that he and Desra could be with her, and now, the day after, people loitered around the inn waiting to hear Karaman announce the baby's name. At least that was their excuse. When the Majir's first son, Tanin, had been born, Karaman has celebrated by giving away free ale until the casks ran dry. Tasselhoff had gone to the Majir's house yesterday to offer to help the baby into the world. I'm awfully good at boiling water. I'm awfully good at boiling water, he told Karaman. I'm not really sure why I should boil water, but I hear people need lots of boiling water when they're having babies and cooking lobsters. He had added as an afterthought. Karaman had been so alarmed at this comparison that he had banished Tasselhoff from the house. Taz had gone out the back door and come in again in the front, thinking Karaman had meant to banish someone else. Only Desra had caught him. Grabbing him by the top knot, she had marched him down the stairs. That had been yesterday and had provided a fair amount of excitement. But today, Taz was left on his own. The inn was closed. He had nothing to do except sit on a fence under the Valenwood tree and kick his heels on the rails. "I haven't been to a blacksmith forge in a long time," Taz remarked to no one in particular. "Not since that day my hair caught fire and Theros Ironfeld dunked me in the horse trough. Who knew that working the bellows as hard as I could would start a conflagration?" Taz brought out the big word with pride. "Theros told me not to come back, but it's been a long time, and I'll bet he misses me. I'll just go see him." Taz jumped off the fence, grabbed his hoopak, which was a combination walking stick and slingshot, and was headed off to visit his friend when someone tugged on his fur vest. "I didn't do it!" Taz cried immediately and raised his hands high in the air. He turned around to see that it wasn't the sheriff who had hold of him, but a fellow kender. She was a female and kind of pretty, or she would have been if someone had shown her how to dress properly and fix her hair. "Hello," said Taz. "Are you Tasselhoff Burfoot?" she asked shyly. "That's me," said Taz. "Have we met?" "No, but I've heard about you," said the kender. "You're one of the heroes of the lance, and you traveled through time. I've been wanting to meet you. My name is Mary Merriweather." She and Taz shook hands. "You haven't been on the road very long, have you, Mary?" Taz asked, noting her sorry appearance. "Is this your first wanderlust?" "Why, yes," said Mary, seemingly startled by the question. "How did you know?" "I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, Mari, for you seem very nice, but you're dressed like a human." Mari glanced down at her dull gray-blue leggings and her dull gray-blue shirt, over which she wore a long, dull gray-blue belted tunic. Taz went on to thoughtfully point out her shortcomings. "You only have one pouch, and it's empty, though you do have a pocket, and that counts for something. And I don't mean to fault your upbringing, but did anyone tell you how to tie a proper topknot?" Mari self-consciously put her hand to the lump on top of her head that was apparently meant to be a topknot, but which was more like a top straggle, for her long black hair was falling over her face. I guess not," said Mari. Taz felt sorry for her and thought perhaps he was being too harsh. He added kindly, "That is a really interesting gemstone you're wearing. I've never seen one like it. In fact, it's hard to see at all. It keeps changing shape." Taz reached out his hand, thinking he would touch the gem to make it stop changing before his eyes. But the moment his hand came close to it, he felt an extremely unpleasant, squirmy sensation inside him, as though his stomach were trying to crawl off and hide behind his liver. Taz drew back his hand, and the horrible feeling went away. He tried to touch the gem again, and the horrible feeling came back. He was entranced, but he didn't have a chance to try it again because Mari grabbed hold of the jewel and tucked it inside the collar of her shirt. "How did you get your gemstone to make me feel all squirmy like that?" Taz asked. "Never mind the gem," said Mari. "I want to visit the Inn of the Last Home, but the sign says it's closed. Is there somewhere else we can go to get a drink? I'm really thirsty." "The inn isn't closed to me," said Taz, asking proudly. "I'm family." He led her to the inn and jiggled the door handle. "It's locked. Do you have a key?" Mari asked. "I don't need one," said Taz. "As Uncle Trapsfinger always says, why insult a door's purpose by locking it?" He reached into his pocket and took out his most prized possession, his lock-picking tools. He propped his hoop-pack against the door, sorted through his collection, chose a tension wrench and a hook, and inserted them into the lock. I'll have us inside in a jiffy," he said. He paused in his work to ask, "You don't happen to know what a jiffy is, do you, Mari? I've always wondered." All right, so that is the excerpt. So that's clearly the graystone that she's got, right? Like that's what it was inferring, it seems. A gem on a pendant that shifts before her eyes. If you'll remember from that short story when Dugan Redhammer took the three Majir boys to the Isle of Gargath, they said that the gem itself was shifting a little bit, and Dragons of Summer Flame, when the Irda had it, and they said that it looked different to everyone, and they couldn't count how many facets because that changed constantly. So I suspect Slap that baby. You don't need hot water, just slap the baby. I suspect that's the Greystone she has. Though, I don't know. So at this point, he has never been near the Greystone, right? So I wonder if through the chaos of space-time, he is feeling the future through the present of getting near to touching the Greystone, or if that's just the normal effect of being near the Grey Gem, right? That's also an interesting little thought. Let's see, D20, thanks for joining live, man. How you doing? Looking forward to the books and adventure and war game. Yeah, me too. I'm going to be definitely playing that. Killer Wayne Static hair tutorial. What? I must have missed that video. Hey, Arrakis, thanks for joining live. Good to see you. All right, so squirmy gems in your belly. I wonder if the purpose of releasing each of these excerpts is to introduce us to the major players. So if we look at the cover right here, Destina's in the middle. We have Wargrim. I can't remember the dude's name now. Oh gosh, this is going to drive me nuts. I'm going to look it up really, really quick. Anyway, we have the dwarf from the last excerpt, and then the third excerpt today is Tasselhoff. So all three excerpts are about the three main characters on the cover, except for the dragon. And it's a brass dragon, supposedly, at least if memory serves. It'd be a little bit weird because brass dragons are the most social of all of the metallic dragons. I mean, so much so that they kind of like will kidnap you just for entertainment in some cases, you know? They're really kind of insane like that. All right, I'm looking up the dwarf here. Wolfstone is the name. So we've met all of them. We met Destina when it was her and her mom and that cup of, well, wine, reading tea leaves from wine, which was insane. And then the second one was all about Wolfstone talking to his Thane, the king of Thorbarden, about the Greystone and how Destina had approached Thorbarden looking for it. Interesting point. Why, like, Thorbarden opened its gate for the prisoners? I mean, the refugees of Pax Starkaz, right? But that was only through the winter. So I'm sure they gave him the boot as soon as that was over. This is after that. So I wonder why they just let her come up to the door and knock on it. Like, is the door obvious now? Because if you guys remember, it was really hard to find for the companions. And they had a dwarf with them. So that's a little bit weird. Hey, John, thanks for joining live. Indeed. Indeed. Frylock, how you doing? Thanks for joining live. And then this third one is about Tasselhoff meeting the girl that I completely said I was going to call her Mari, and I called her Mary. I think I called her both. I don't know. We'll figure it out. What I'm planning on doing is reading the novel, taking a bunch of notes, and then listening to the audiobook so that I can really get some, you know, on different cognitive levels, the story down, and then give you guys a spoiler-free review and then a full spoiler review after that. Next, or the week that this comes out, which is next week, right? I think it is. I'm actually really, really busy for the next 2 weeks after that. So I'm going to do my best to finish it and give you a spoiler-free review before I go off on my vacation. Then I'll come back, and it all depends on how fast I can get through the novel, really. And, oh, another thing about the novel, looking at it on Amazon, it said it was 400 pages. And when it was first released, it was only 300 and something, like 360 or something like that. So 40 extra pages, that's pretty great. Like, I'll take it. I have no problem with that at all. Kind of wish the novel was also available in paperback. Yeah, it is. So it's Kindle digital, hardcover, or audio book. It is weird that they don't have a paperback. That usually comes later, though. Like, it'll probably be like for Christmas season, they'll release the trade paperback version of it. Just, you know, for ultimately what they want to do is hit the most expensive versions first and then go with the trade paper, which is going to be, you know, your $10 price point. And everything is more expensive than that right now. So they want to hit you with all the high costs up front, just from a marketing standpoint, and then they'll give us the good stuff. Well, less expensive stuff, I should say. All right, I mean, that's all I had. Do you guys have any thoughts or comments about the story thus far that we know? I do not like the fact, and this is something that they give us here. Let me make sure I'm looking at the right page because I'm not confident that I am. So they say that Destina Rosethorn, to save her father, she hatches a bold plan to go back in time and prevent his death. She has to secure the device of time journeying, last known to be in possession of the spirited Kender Tasselhoff Burfoot. But to change time, she'll need another magical artifact, the most powerful and dangerous artifact ever created. So yeah, she needs the gray gem and the device of time journeying. I thought that they were superimposing the gray gem in the last excerpt. I was clearly wrong. I don't know why they want to bring that out, why the dwarves would have ever had it in the first place. The timeline doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sure because this is Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, they'll give us a full history. When, as the book first opens, they'll say, this is the history of the Grey Gem of Garagath. And then we'll get their revised version of the history, because we already know it was never in Thorbarden, as per any of the stories I've ever read. So you guys will have to let me know if you've read something separately. You're looking forward to finding out where everyone will be adventuring. Yeah, and that's another thing. I really think it's going to be primarily in Solamnia. Like, they're going to come down to Abanasinia in order to get into Thorbarden and to get the device of time journeying. But once Destina has all that, I think they're going to go up north, travel time back to the mid-War of the Lance, and they're going to try to use both of those artifacts to save her dad. What I honestly think is going to end up happening, and this is just speculation, but I think what's going to happen is she's going to successfully change time, save her dad, come back to the present, realize the mess that she's made, or they're not going to return to the present but into the future, see the mess that they've made. Either way, they're going to see the mess, and then they're going to have to go back to try to correct it, and she's going to have to come to terms with loss, like everyone else. I don't really like the premise that it's such an infantile perspective. And it's the same for everyone when they first experience death firsthand, whether it's a family member, an extended family, or a friend, right? You think the world revolves around that loss and that sorrow that you're feeling, the pain that seems to be ever present and will last forever. But the truth is, and this was told to me by a cop, the whole long story. But anyway, I was going through this same experience with a friend who committed suicide in high school, and I sort of let it unravel my life, and so much so that I ended up confined, with a police officer, and he was like, look, your neighbors, all the people around you, your family members, don't give a shit that your friend died. I don't give a shit that your friend died. What you need to realize is that you are affecting other people with your emotions. You need to deal and process with what you're feeling, but don't project that onto other people because they don't understand it and they don't frankly care. And that advice, though harsh when I was a kid, was actually really good advice because it told me that I had to stop lashing out at the world with all of that frustration and anger. And instead, I had to deal with it. I had to process it. I had to really work through it, And then, I dealt with that with my father dying. And it's something that sucks dealing with death. But you can't expect the entire world to change just because you are in a really bad situation that is an inevitability. Once someone is born, they are working slowly to their way of death. That's just life. That's why we have to celebrate it. That's why we have to seize the moment, make it count. And yeah, Frylock, it was definitely a bit harsh for me. I didn't take it well, but I did ultimately process it, and it ended up being great advice for me. I really, really appreciated it, though I still think that cop was a dick. So, and life is for the living. That's a great point, Jason. Thanks for saying that. So with Destina, bringing it back down to the novel, this spoiled little brat, oh, my dad died. I'm going to change the course of history in order to stop that because I'm so special. I need my daddy. Please grow the hell up, you infantile little whiny kid. That's not how life works, And the fact that there's just some rando kid that can ultimately get their hands on the most powerful artifacts in all of Krynn is an insane idea. Like it doesn't make any sense. All for this really, really selfish. All I'm going to say is I hope she earns them. You know what I mean? Raisel Majira, in order to get to the portal of the abyss, had to go through some real major hoops. And that's not even talking about the initial test and then dealing with growing, with the power of Fist and Daedalus, finding the tomes, studying them, putting in the time and effort, then finally learning how to do it, then traveling through time to make all those changes. Like, he earned it through 6 novels. We have a trilogy with this one girl who is supposed to be able to do the exact same thing that Raistlin did, ostensibly. Go back in time, realize that the changes you made are making a huge effect to the future in a negative way, and then stopping it. And then that brings up a great thought in my head. Are we really treading ground that much again? Because this is literally Legends so far, right? With the Greystone. That kind of bugs me a little bit. Like, is Destina just oh shit, I just thought about this, and I don't like how this is coming out, but I'm going to say it anyway. Is Destina, oh, this sucks, the Rey from Star Wars, the sequel trilogy? Is she going to come in, do everything super simply, take control of everything, take care of all the problems without any effort, without any consequence, and then at the 3rd novel finally fixes everything? That's kind of a scary thought. Because everything else in Dragonlance is regular, hardworking people facing insurmountable odds, paying serious consequences in order to overcome adversity. If all you have to do is just think, I miss my daddy, so I'm going to get the device of time journeying and the Greystone and change everything, that's kind of a shitty story. Like, where's the depth? Where's the impact? I don't know. Now I'm starting to, oh boy, John. Raistlin. Yeah, so I don't know. Again, this is pure speculation. It could be amazing, and I want it to be amazing because I love this IP. I love Dragonlance. So I'm hoping it's not that simple and it doesn't go off on those weird tangent roads. But it seems like it's setting it up that way. And that's a little scary for me. Because there's nothing more toxic than the Star Wars fan base. Just like a full stop. It's the worst. And I'm a part of it. And that's how I know. Oh, yeah. I don't need... I'm with you, Goldmoon. I don't want to have Star Wars and Dragonlance. I had to make the comparison because it popped in my head. And that's really what all of these videos are, is just me spouting whatever jumps in my mind. All right, so that's my ideas. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live if you have the opportunity. I know it's a Thursday. It's my Friday today. I've got the rest of the weekend off, so I thought I'd just jump on and do this really quick. If you guys are heading out to Gen Con and you get an opportunity to pick up that book, let me know what you think. I would love to hear it. I'm not in social media. I don't expect anyone to email me directly your thoughts. But, I don't know, maybe just, comment on a video or... I don't know, put it out in social so maybe someone will forward it to me or something. I want to know initial thoughts is all, I guess is my point. Because that's what I need. I need initial thoughts. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. Till next time. Slán Jafar.